drags its feet with, like, love interest, because you have Parker come in, who I even forgot was a thing. Just like season 3 has Scott come in.
Forgot about Parker.
They're both, like, I'm like, they're so benign and
Scott,
non-issues.
like the most wet blanket of all time.
Yeah, like, I'm just like, they don't even fucking matter, essentially. So, like, it's just, like, I completely forget they exist. Like, for me, Buffy's three big love interests are, of course, like, Angel, then Riley, then Spike. So I'm like, this Parker guy doesn't even he doesn't even compare. Even though she does mope for him, you know?
When I saw him, I remembered him, and I remember the storyline with him
being a dick,
donking her, and then buggering off. So like that wasn't all like a big surprise to me. I did remember all that.
Yeah. I was just like, oh yeah, this fucking guy.
It's pretty much my response. I was like, oh yeah, that's what a wanker.
Yeah.
And then very, very promptly moved on. The other thing, and I don't want to get political like instantly, but there's a few episodes where it's like, fucking hell, this is like quite woke before woke was woke.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. Like, so there's the episode with the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah.
Where they're going, oh, it's all this stolen land and the indigenous people didn't enjoy it and all this nonsense. You're like, holy hell, this is really shockingly woke for a show from, 2001 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, and you look at, too, like, my thing about, like, the Indians and stuff, I'm with Spike, where it's like, they were killing each other, you were killing them, everybody get over yourselves.
Was brilliant.
Spike has some of the best I think I realized this in season 3 when he talks to Buffy and Angel and he's trying to get them to do the love spell. Because I'm like, he has some of the, like, best lines of the best monologues. And not even, like, villainous monologues. I'm like, Spike's just spitting straight facts. Like, he just knows what's up somehow.
He just says what's what.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good point because, you know, you've got Willow, who's, I mean, let's be fair, her character would be exactly like that, the way she is. So you like, I don't necessarily hold it against her that she's the one who's been like, oh, this is all stolen land and whatever, because that's what her character would be like.
Yeah.
And what's nice is you have the yin to your yang. So Spike goes, I'll shut up you. Also, I thought the other thing I wanted to say was I really liked that Spike called Xander a thunderous puff or something. And I thought it was bloody great big puff or something. And I thought that was wonderful. It was so good. I was like, oh, when TV was fun again.
Yep.
It was great.
I think too, Spike gets away with James Marsters, really, rather, he gets away with a lot of lines like that because it's British slang. So like, in America, we don't know what a fucking poof is, but like, at me watching this at like 20 and 21, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. Like him doing the rude hand gesture, the basically like the British middle finger. I'm just like, that is so funny to me. Like, you can't do that on TV. You can't give the middle finger on TV in America, but he can give the British equivalent because we don't know that here. Like, it's so good.
So his character actually is arguably the one that's, for me, so again, going back to I know we're sort of talking about season 4 rather than 3, but I'm disappointed at I didn't realize Oz left so quickly.
Yeah.
And I was like gutted that it's like, oh shit, like 6 episodes in, he's gone.
Well, especially like you watch the intro and the way it changes, right? Like he has Fear Itself is part of his intro. Like the intro for like the show is like Oz changing in that house. Right. And so I'm like, you haven't even seen this yet when the freshman happens, but like it's part of the intro. So like you really do, it does set you up to think like Oz is going to be around a while. Like you think he's like such a set part of the show. And I had the exact opposite experience because I remember Oz leaving so quickly that I'm in like episode 5 and I'm like, Oz is still here. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised he's still here because in my head, like the way I remembered it was so early, like episode like 2 or 3, Oz is gonna leave is like how my mind had it set. But like obviously that was an exaggeration. But yeah, he leaves so fast.
It's rapid, and the whole like Tara setup was
Yeah.
It's goofy. And again, this is sort of leaning to what I sort of, again, I don't want to get too political, but it feels very woke. It feels very like forced.
I've always thought Willow and Tara felt really forced. That's just me.
Yeah, because she was. What's so daft about it was that, I mean, we've gotten to the point where we know exactly what's happened with Willow and of course Xander. Her and those two do a bit of I mean, barely a kiss, and also and you understand why, because she's been in love with Xander forever, and then Oz, who they are such a great couple. They're so like powerful, and then for her to just like have such a quick wandering eye just feels really odd.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of like telegraphed quite early with the episode where with the alternative Sunnydale.
Yeah, because Angel goes to say something about it, and he's like, never mind. Because they're like, yeah, I think she might even be like a lesbian. And he's like,
yeah.
She's like, I would never. And he's like, well, actually. And then he's like, you know what? Never mind. Doesn't fucking matter. And you're like, whoa, Angel, what? Say what you were going to say, buddy. Finish that sentence.
I really enjoyed Hush. I'd forgotten how good of an episode it is. It is not the best episode of Buffy. I don't care what anyone says.
It is really good though.
But it was very good. Again, that's another one that I remember watching it and going, it's good, but it's not brilliant. And I remember people losing their shit over Hush, because for a long time, I mean, even non-Buffy fans know about Hush.
Yeah.
Like, as well as the sing-along episode, which is what, next season, I think, or the season after. I think it's 5. Season 5, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it's my expectations were so low that it's actually better than I remember. Or was it actually always better? And the other problem is you go from Buffy to Angel, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm flip-flopping. And Angel is so much better. I mean,
yeah,
leaps and bounds better.
I always wonder, like, I need to look into that for the next episode to see, like, did a writer switch over? Did they get a different writer? Like, what transpired behind the scenes that kind of just, like, boosted Angel? And I know, like, Cordelia, Charisma Carpenter, rather, she was really gung-ho for being on Angel. She was like, I do not want to stop doing this show. I want to keep being on these shows. I want to be a reoccurring character still. And so up until the point she got pregnant, Joss was really like, okay, yeah, like, let's do this. And so, like, he was very, he I think at this point, like, his focus was kind of split between the two things. And so I think that's why...
I did notice in the intro for Angel, it's co-created by Joss Whedon and another chap, and I can't remember his name, but I did notice that there is like a double header created credit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the magic source, maybe.
Yeah.
For me, what the magic source is that Angel has a more adult, darker theme. So it's kind of like this is something that no one in America will get. We got a terrible show in the UK called Hollyoaks, and it's like the most terrible teeny bop drama, and it's based in like sort of middle north England I think it's meant to be near like Liverpool.
Okay.
And they do a Hollyoaks After Darks, which is like the adult one, so there'll be a lot more sex and swears and all that, so it gets more raunchy, and in a way Angel's kind of like the Hollyoaks After Dark. It's like it's got a bit more raunchiness, it's a bit more dour, a bit more dark. It's the adult version of like the teeny bopper show, shall we say. And I feel like they had the balance really good early on, especially at when they were at Sunnydale High.
Yep.
But when they get to the university, I feel like the balance isn't quite right. It actually feels more immature than when they're at the high school for me.
Well, and I think too, like, you know, I experienced it a little bit more recently than you did, but granted, it was still about a decade ago, where you go off to college and you're like, I am out here and there's no parents and I can just do whatever the fuck I want. I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And you're like, this is kind of crazy. Point. So you kind of like, you like, it's so funny because they act like college is such a maturing step. And it's like, no, that first year, you're so stupid. Like, you don't even know what the fuck is happening.
I cannot repeat 90% of the stories I got up to after I left school. It's way too bad. But yeah, that's a fair point. And I've said this before. If like 19, 20-year-old Logic met 40, I'm 42 next week, something like that.
Oh, happy birthday!
I would take my young self would take a swing at my old self. I'd call myself like a sellout, old wanker, like working for a business that you're doing everything I said I would never do when I was 20, like that idealistic punk, like the spike in me.
Yeah.
Would be like, you are now exactly what you said you would never be. You're working for like a mega corporation in a role that you don't, want or whatever. It's just like the exact thing that you said you would never do. But things happen. People change. I can't spend my life hopping. Like when we're 18, you can't spend your life hopping from party to party.
Yeah.
We used to pull all-nighters every bloody weekend. It was like, cool, yeah. Let's party till the morning and we'll make our way home once we sober up. But you can't do that when you're 42.
No. I'm 30 and I'm like learning like, okay, you can't do those things. You have to cut back on alcohol. You have to cut back on this. Like, you just don't bounce back like you used to. It's really a thing, guys.
Not at all.
Really a thing. So.
And I'm afraid it only gets worse.
Yeah.
I mean, like even now, I've flipping developed like I've never had any issues, and I've developed like an RSI in my right arm, and it's only been like the last 2 weeks. It's like just dumb shit like that. It's like,
I didn't even do anything. You're just like.
Yeah, I'm like sat at my desk. It's like, wow, my arm really bloody hurts.
I have tendonitis in both of my wrists I got them when I was 27 and 28, I want to say. Or maybe it was 26 and 27. So not even 30 yet. And it was from working at a warehouse. And I was just like, the job they had you do, just repetitive motion, gave me tendonitis. And I was like, this is bullshit. This shit shouldn't start happening until I'm like 40. This is fucking dumb.
That's horrible. Right, so, well, I mean, we've covered as we sort of alluded to at the start of the show, we've both, Mooney and I have jumped well ahead. We're steaming ahead. So we're going to try and recover season 3. I know we did, certainly the beginning part, we absolutely, where do we absolutely get up to? I'm looking at season 3, sorry, that's why I'm confused. Wait, we haven't done any of these. Yeah, we definitely got to the Dark Age, 100%. I think we did What's My Line, because I remember mocking Kendra, but I always mock Kendra.
Yeah, Kendra the Vampire Slayer.
Let's start there and try and just smash through season 3.
Okay. Yeah, I would say for What's My Line, I think the most important takeaway from What's My Line is, first of all, Drew gets her power back. Angel is her sire. Spike needs Angel in order to bring Drusilla back to full power. He manages to do it. But I think Kendra is our first introduction to, they want a vampire slayer who is not Buffy, who is like a foil for Buffy is what it's called in literature language. It's a foil. So a foil is just like your counterpart, your someone who highlights the diversity between the two of you.
Kind of your opposites, as it were.
Yeah. So
Zelda.
Yeah. So I think Kendra
Link, I should say.
Is nega link. We have Kendra is very rule follower. She's a goody.
Like to the extreme.
Yeah. Like my inner punk rocker can't handle that shit. I'm like, Kendra, you're such a wet blanket. You're just. How do you not
Because it's
even
an
question the man? Like, it doesn't make sense to
it's
me.
an interesting choice when you consider that Faith is also Buffy's foil, but Kendra's straight laced and Faith is like punk rock to the extreme. So the idea being that really Buffy's quite centrist and quite arguably sensible. Yeah, she's got her punk side, but she's not like the bookworm that Kendra does. Because there's even a bit where I think, if I remember correctly, she's like kicking the floor, looking at the ground and she quotes, "Oh, it's in the Necronomicon 3 or whatever."
Yeah.
And Giles is really surprised. Well, you've actually read it.
Yeah.
Yes, my watcher makes me read these things.
And she says to like the Vampire Slayer man, it's in the manual, and she's like, "What manual?" And Giles,
manual?
Yeah, and Giles is like, I figured it wouldn't be useful to you," basically meaning like you wouldn't fucking read it. Like, get out of here. Why are you even asking? But basically, yeah. So she's very much like, she blows into town and blows right back out. But I think too, like, I think as much as Kendra is such a like a non-character, I think it really paves the way for Faith, so you can have both sides of the field, so you can really see Buffy's in the middle.
Yeah, it kind of sets up the lore as well. Lore, not Law. Because exactly what happens. Buffy dies. Kendra's the next vampire slayer, but now Buffy's back as well. Kendra dies, then we're introduced to Faith. And then end of season 7 or whatever it is, any potential slayer is now a permanent slayer. And there's also an episode, I think, in season 4 or 5 where it's like the original slayer.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like caveman slayer type thing.
I can't remember, but it's like, yeah, it's like Renaissance and the First Watchers Council is like making the Slayer, because we do talk about the Slayer's ultimate weapon in season 7, and I think maybe they also kind of go back to the original Slayer then too, just to kind of show how it started. Which I'm like,
I think it's setting up lore that more than anything.
I think it's so funny too that like, motherfucker, you could have had all these potential slayers become slayers and you just went with one instead? What the fuck? Just aiming really, really low. Like,
yeah, it's kind of one of those things where when you're watching like Superman's probably the best example of this. Like, they've overwritten Superman's powers, so you have to make up these dumb rules like, oh, there's green kryptonite, there's red kryptonite.
Yeah.
I remember watching the one with Kevin Spacey, and there's a bit where he like lifts the moon or something like that, but the moon's like half made of kryptonite or something, but he can still lift the moon. It's like they just write the story to suit their powers, which is I think I've said this every episode. I just wish they would go, these are the powers, and you stick to that, so you don't just go, oh, okay, well, you know. It kind of that's why I've always had this issue with like season 7 where every potential slayer becomes a slayer. It's like, well, that's not the point. Like there was one loophole because Buffy died and then came back. Well, don't go so extreme with that. It's kind of like the kryptonite. Well, you're just making shit up now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's the point of TV. It's made up shit, but you know what I'm.
No, yeah. Well, and my point is like,
read the rules and stick to them.
If they could have just done that from the beginning, why the fuck didn't they? Because it seems like it's way more beneficial to have 75 Slayers than to just have one running around. Like, if you're really trying to fight the powers of evil, that's what you're gonna fucking do. Like,
yeah, you would. Yeah, you just have an army of Slayers and there'd never be any demons again.
Yeah.
Or 100 angels. If again, like, there's a few times. Don't get me wrong. I am absolutely loving season 1, but like when he smashes the ring of Mara or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like, makes him like immortal.
Ring of Mara.
That's so daft. Like that will make you such a powerful fighter. Even if you have to go, okay, I need to like pack it away at the weekend so I don't get like too carried away, like lock it away. Gem of Morrow. Well, anyways, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then there's the episode where Buffy comes to Angel, and his blood mixes with some like salt water demon with a gem in his head.
Yeah.
And he becomes human again. And it's like, well, now you know that. Surely you could go, all right, well, my gran got turned into a vampire. We now have the cure for vampirism.
Yeah.
So we could just go around and fix everyone, and all of a sudden vampires aren't a thing, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like daft. You kind of go, well, why do they never readdress that? It's a good episode, but that's never ever readdressed again.
Yeah. Whereas potentially you could even lock this one up and just farm him for vampire cure, or even just go and find his relatives and beat the shit out of them and put them in, and then you just have a big factory of farming vampire cure.
Yeah, big IV drip of these saltwater demony things, and they can just, cure the world of vampirism, including Harmony.
Who does not need to live forever. Sorry.
She's wonderful in this. She's like, and again, I really enjoyed her in the beginning of season 3. She's just so much fun on the screen.
Yeah.
But I don't remember her being that fun in in the high school, like in the earlier seasons.
Yeah, no, she really.
For whatever reason, she just like blossoms as a vampire. So maybe she's given more to work with. Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
as an actress, I mean.
I think nobody flame me if I'm wrong, but I do believe she's one of the actresses who slept with Joss Whedon in order to get more screen time and in order to get a more permanent part on the show.
Which also explains why she flip-flops between both Angel and
Buffy.
Buffy as well, giving her the maximum screen time powers.
Yep, yeah. She was one of them. I'm like 87%, because she's Mercedes.
That's it.
Yeah.
McNab? Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's her. I'm pretty sure she's one of them who basically, yes, casting couch kind of deal. So.
Well, I mean, whilst we're discussing it, do you think it's completely objectionable, or do you think that if someone makes that choice, it's kind of like, look, if you're going to go buy something, you can pay with money, or you pay with your credit card, or now you can use digital currencies. Like you're paying for something, and if someone says, "Well, all right, you can take this car, but you just got to play with my balls," that's a form of payment. Is it completely unacceptable? Do you think, or
for me, it's unacceptable, but I have my own morals. I'm one of those people who I'm like, everyone is an adult, and if everyone is an adult in the situation and no one is being coerced and they're making their own choices. So I don't give a shit.
I think you used the perfect word there. I think the problem is that there is coercion. So it's like, oh, you want more screen time? Well, yeah. It's not based upon your acting skills. It's based upon will you play with his balls.
Well, and I think too, there's
time.
Is he approaching her about it, or is she approaching him about it and coming up with a solution?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Because, like, if she's like, hey, big boy, I'd like more screen time. How about you show me your sack? Like, that's a little different than if he's like, oh, you want more screen time? Yeah. Why don't you check my pants for my writer's pen, and maybe we can write you some more lines or something, like,
all of a sudden we've got an agreement.
Yeah.
So back to What's My Line. It's amongst my favourites, but the biggest reason is because like Oz is so prevalent in it, and that's where he really becomes like a major team player in the Scooby Gang.
Yeah.
Where he's got his broken arm, and it's my favourite line from Buffy ever. I mark you with my monkey pain. And yeah, just it's a fun episode. It's quite camp.
Yeah.
I kind of forgotten how camp it is, but it's really good.
I want to say too, I absolutely love how we've talked about how much we love Oz in the past, but I just think he's such a these 2 episodes really like show he's such a different type of thinker. Like, and especially when we get to the episode where Buffy, like, accidentally absorbs the mind-reading powers. He's just such a different mind. Like, you're like, what the fuck?
If Buffy's my thoughts and my Buffy, is Buffy me? It's like...
Yeah.
I love his thing. He's sharp. He's, like, a very clever, but he's also, like you said, he's not like a straight thinker, if that makes sense. He's definitely off the beaten path.
Yeah, and that's I think, like, it's so hard to find characters like that, because I think it's so hard for a lot of people to think like that. So the fact that, like, whoever is writing Oz can do that or is that, thank God, because it's so much fun. Like, it's just so good to have Oz in this fucking show.
I think there's an element of the actor being able to deliver it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Seth Green is so believable as that. But what's interesting as well, if you watch what's it called now, with Mike Myers, Austin Powers series.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the early ones, he is kind of Oz. He's dressed the same. He's listening to the same music. Yeah, he's more bratty in that, but it's quite interesting. So I think there's a big degree that is kind of how Seth Green is as a person. So I imagine he has quite a lot of... Well, I mean, I don't know for certain. You can completely correct me, but I imagine a lot of the actors have quite a lot of power and say in where that character goes.
Well, and I think too, like, it reminds me of in Parks and Recreation, you know, you have the character Aubrey Plaza's character, and she, I think it's April, April Ludgate. And so April, literally, the writer was like, someone told me you got to meet this girl, and they just brought Aubrey Plaza in and sat her down, and we sat there awkwardly for like 10 minutes, and she was just like, okay, I'm gonna go now. And she just left. And he was like, what a strange presence and what an awkward person, and just immediately wrote her into the show. And basically, April is, like, kind of the aura of Aubrey Plaza. Just, like, Aubrey Plaza being Aubrey Plaza. And so, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, probably Oz. Like, probably something similar happened with Seth Green, where he's, like... Because apparently him and Sarah Michelle Gellar knew each other prior to Buffy, because they were both child actors.
I was about to say they did, a thing where he's, like, 8 or something. Because they've both been acting since they were wee nippers.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you're right. They've known each other forever, pretty much. Yeah,
so it would have been easy for her to be like, hey, this guy, Seth, blah, blah, blah. And then he shows up and they're like, you're perfect. You're in the show. Do your thing. Just be you, basically. Like, you know, you just never know.
But also look at someone like Spike, you know, where it's sort of well known that he was only meant to be a baddie of the day, week, whatever it is. And it transpires that he you know, like we've said, he eats the scenery. He's just a fantastic actor, and he is Spike.
Yeah.
That they ended up reusing him over and over to the point that he's all the way to the end of season 7, and a huge amount through Angel as well. Yeah,
and so apparently too with Angel, like. James Marsters has said he didn't know this is how it transpired, but basically for him to go back onto Angel, because the CW wanted him, which I think they had merged with someone else, so it was a different station, but it was basically the company wanted him back on Angel because he was so popular, and so he said, I want a bigger salary then. And so they were like, okay, so apparently in order to fill that, that's why they cut Charisma Carpenter. And I think also
she also left when she was pregnant. So was it
that was a Joss thing? That was a Joss thing.
Right.
So he was really pissed when she showed up pregnant. He literally asked her, "Are you gonna keep it?" And she was like, "Yes." Like, what? And he was kind of pissed she didn't ask him for permission, which is why he wrote her such a goofy storyline. And he kind of put her in a coma, and so that way he was like, "Yeah, when you stop being pregnant, you can come back.
We can bring you back."
And so, but then Spike, or James Marsters, then wanted Spike, so James Marsters was like, you gotta give me a bigger salary. So Joss was like, well, we'll just cut Charisma. And so it was kind of a slight against her, because he was still upset that she had gotten pregnant without his permission, essentially. And so she actually she comes back in that last season of Angel for one episode, and her agreement with him was, you can't kill off my character. That's the only thing. I'll come back, I'll do it, I'm happy to do it, I want to be part of this, so don't kill off my character because I'd like to come back in future seasons. He said okay, and of course, if you've watched it, you know that's not what happens. She dies in her coma, and it's just like a phone call, and she's not there for that scene because she would have refused to shoot it. They didn't even tell her that that was part of the episode because she would have refused to be on the show.
The ending, I always thought that was really odd, that how that ending happens is like Angel takes a call and is like, oh, it was all not a dream, but like all, well, I guess it was kind of a dream.
Yeah, being visited by a spirit or whatever.
Yeah, being visited by a spirit, whatever it is. And then I always found it really odd that I was like, oh yeah, by the way, the doctor's like, yeah, she's dead, bruv.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, and that's like why that happened. And then on top of that, so they wanted Sarah Michelle to come for that episode, and she refused. She was like, no, I'm done. I'm done with Buffy. I don't need any of this. We're good. Right. And so then they approached Charisma.
Directly to a degree as well.
Yeah. Which, that's when they called in Charisma, and she was happy to do it, excited to do it under those conditions, and of course they fucked her over. So, just kind of goes to show you how big of a dick Joss is. But
it sounds like, doesn't it?
Anyway, talking about back to season 2.
So, we will get through season 2. Ted, it's a kind of funny. It's a goofy premise, but Joyce is dating a IT man. He works in IT, and like him and Willow hate an because he wants to, she wants some software, some made up nonsense software. And he can sort it out, etc. But the only person that doesn't like him is Buffy. Everyone else is getting on with him, and it turns out he's like Robot Man.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's meant to be like a slight against daddies everywhere. That's something like that.
I think it's more of like, I always read it as like perfectionist. Like if you're a perfectionist, everything is really robotic for him because he's a perfectionist. Yes. Like he has a specific way he does things,
and the golf and everything.
And he's like, there is no compromise. And I've like, my Nana was like this, where she's like, you have to do it this way. You have to do it my way because it's the best way. And if you don't do it my way, it's shit. You might as well not even fucking do it because it's shit. Yeah. And you're like, okay, dude, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And that's kind of like Buffy's thing is like, this isn't even your house, guy. And he's like, it's gonna be. And you're like, okay, freak. And that's when you're like, something's wrong with this dude. And then they think he's just a person, and Buffy accidentally kills him. She like kicks him down the stairs because he's getting violent with her. And then
it's actually a little bit shocking because the show is sort of, when it's, this is sort of what I go back to a few times, where when it's like demon violence, it's obviously you can like suspend your disbelief to a degree.
Yeah.
When it's like person on person, I mean, obviously it transpires later that he is a robot, but when it's like, it feels very real. It feels like home abuse. It's kind of a tough watch, really.
Yeah, it is.
Not under my house, little girlie, or whatever he says. It's like, oh, that's so creepy. It's like,
yeah.
It's quite, and
he does call her something that I'm like, that would trigger me. I'd kick him just for calling me that. I can't remember what it is because I was so
little sister, little girl,
little Missy.
Really,
I think it's Little Missy. Yeah. And I'm like, shut the fuck up! Don't call me things. Use my name, you piece of shit. I don't even know you like that. Like that's how I feel about stuff like that.
Because it's the dad from A Simple Rules, and I thought he did a really good role. Like, I thought he did a really good job.
John Ritter is, like, he's actually, like, he's in the original It TV series. What the heck just happened? He's in the original It TV series, and then he's also, like, he does a lot of, like, horror, like, old school horror stuff. Like, I believe he's in, I want to say it's Bride of Chucky, or it's in Seed of Chucky. He's in one of those, and just like he's a really great actor. He died, I think, in the early 2000s, I want to say.
Yeah, well, that's so. What got me onto rewatching Nathan Brawls, because I remember just having that as like background TV. You know, everyone's kind of got their show that's like their background show. I know a lot of people use Friends or whatever, but I never enjoyed that. We used to have that on. Well, I say we, me more than anyone, had that on the background. So I remember him from that, and I remember when he died during that. So that was like 2002, something like that.
Yeah, pretty early in the 2000s.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, and he was a beloved TV star for the most part. Like my Nana knew who he was, and that's why I know all this, because she would be like, "Oh," yeah. My Nana had like a really weird memory for like actors and actresses, so she was like, "Oh, that's John Ritter. He was in blah and duh and D," and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "And he was married to so and so, but only for this amount of time, and he had this many kids with them," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, dude, calm down." But
Big John Ritter fan.
Yeah, well, no, she would just do that with any actor or actress. She always knew those things. It was like, as long as it was before like the 2000s, she knew. Anyone after that, it was kind of like it was a toss up. Like John Travolta, obviously, she kept up with, you know, stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, John Ritter, he's in this episode. I think when he malfunctions and starts doing the robot shit,
yeah,
it's so good. It's so good. Like, I love it.
It's so. I find it funny, but like, I think part of the problem is like sort of working in that field. I've always struggled with anything where I go, like, I understand technology. I understand how things work. So when I watch hacker, especially hacker type stuff, I've broken the mainframe Linux kernel, and you're like, oh, fuck off, just shut up. And that is similar with that when you have like bad robotic prosthesis and sparks flying. I sort of go, oh, it's a little cringe. I find it a bit cringe, but it just about works. I think because of how good he is, like through the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
That you kind of let that few minutes slide a bit.
I also think like, this is when I'm like, poor fucking Joyce. She can't have nice things. Like,
she's just denied every step of the way.
Like, she literally is like, oh, this one time I got a boyfriend. Yeah, he's a murder robot. And then, like, at the beginning of season 3, she's like, this one time I had a friend who came over and she turned into a zombie demon. And you're like,
oh yeah,
Joyce can't have nice things, guys.
Terrible episode.
Oh, poor thing.
No, it's not terrible. It's not a very good episode.
Yeah.
The other one was obviously she doinks
Giles,
friendly librarian as well. They keep referring back to it because secret glances between each other, and it's bless Joyce.
And then when Buffy finally finds out, that's my favorite. She's like, yeah, unless she's like, oh, you want to, like, it's at the end of one episode, episode. And he's like,
on a call.
My favorite though is like when they're walking, it's like the end of an episode and it's that like scrolling to the end credits, you know, and he's like, oh, we need to go to the library to da-da-da-da, and she's like, sure, unless you're busy having sex with my mother, and he just like face plants into a tree, basically.
Yeah, because that's like referenced like many episodes later.
Oh yeah, which I think it's so funny. I love that episode itself. So like, it's just so good that it has like this lasting. Oh yeah, unless you're having sex with my mom. Yeah.
It's that's one thing though, like that Buffy generally gets quite good, and I think that's why I've been enjoying season 4 and Angel so much. Is because of the. I think honestly, if I watched Buffy just straight through and then Angel just straight through, I think I would have, you know, obviously I prefer season 1 of Angel. I won't shut up about it.
Yeah.
But I think I would have disliked Buffy season 4 even more. I think because they're doing these like little clever crossovers. Someone phones, so like in Angel he phones her, then hangs up, and in Buffy she picks up the phone and goes, hello, no one's there, and then puts down the phone. It's just little clever crossover things, and obviously Oz appears, and then Spike appears, and it's just these little things, and go, it's nice, it ties it together, it just gives that more sort of feeling of a complete world.
Yeah.
And of course, Anne, the episode Anne, and what's her name before? She's Anne, the
she's like
blonde girl.
she's like Lily, and then something else back when she's doing the episode with Ford.
Some really goofy fake vampire name.
Like Celestial, Mistress Celestial, or
yeah.
some shit. You're like, what the fuck, dude? And then before that, she was Sister Sunshine, because she was in a different cult. And you're like, wow, buddy, you just have the worst. You just have a really bad picker. Maybe stop making life choices.
It's things like that. And then when Wesley shows up, of course, in Angel, there's things like that where it ties it up together. Actually, that's one thing I wanted to mention was that I thought Wesley turned up during What's My Line. I thought Wesley was around for a lot longer. He doesn't even show up in season 2.
Nope.
Season 3 before he shows up. And I was sat there like all the way season 2 going, where the hell's Wesley? Where the hell's Wesley?
Yeah.
And even season 3, it's not immediate. Is it immediate? No, it's not.
No, because it's up until, let me see here. Because
Faith shows up first.
Yes.
And they try to have Giles.
It's season 3, episode 12, Helpless, and I don't think he shows up the next episode, but the episode after that.
That's wild.
Yeah, season 3, episode 14, Bad Girls, is when he finally shows up.
So if you think about it, Wesley doesn't really have much in Buffy. He's only in for, 7 episodes or something like that?
1, 2, 3.
His impact is
9.
Almost exclusively Angel.
Yeah. And he is such a, like, it's crazy because he married Allison Hannigan.
Willow.
So his name is Alexis Denisov, and they are both still friends with Joss Whedon. Neither of them have ever said anything about his accusations or anything like that. I believe he's like the godfather of one of their children or something like that.
Right.
So like they're very close with him and have been, and then it's really strange that they married each other, but they were on 2 different shows basically. Like they worked together for a couple months on Buffy, and then he moved over to Angel.
And even when he's there, he's not. It's not that he's redundant, but he's more there just to be. He's almost played I didn't realize how goofy he was. Well, I don't mean realize. I didn't remember how goofy he was played. I felt like he's maybe a little bit overly hammed.
Yeah.
He's so silly British, kind of like, oh, I say, how rude. You know, it's just like, no one talks like that. It's just if I can point to someone that's a Giles, 100. I know people like Giles. I don't know anyone like Wesley. Like, I don't think that it's such a silly stereotype.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like all of them in one. And funnily enough, the wife was saying whilst we're watching Angel, she sits in and watches it occasionally, and she goes, "That's the biggest glow up I've ever seen is Wesley." He goes from tweed wearing, spectacle wearing, quite frankly, a bit of a loser.
Yeah.
Because he is, like, in Buffy. I think that's one thing I just didn't remember him being such a loser.
Yeah. He's such a, like...
Angel.
He's such a nuisance.
Such a badass at the end.
Yeah, yeah. He's such a, like... He's just a little twerp in Buffy, and, like, you kind of want to push him around. And then, end of Angel, you're like, I wouldn't fuck with Wesley. Like, I wouldn't want to...
That dude would knock my teeth in.
Yeah. Like, he gets
he slices people's throats. The guy is... he's dangerous.
Yeah, he gets to be a real, like, badass motherfucker over there. He's a real bamf. But then, like, in Buffy, he's such a, like...
Arguably, he is one of the most pivotal characters in Angel because of him translating... Was it Shanshu or whatever it was?
Yeah, Sandshrew. I think that's a Pokemon.
Yeah, probably Pokemon. He does the translation. The father will kill the son.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he makes that mad decision to abduct Connor. I wonder if they kind of we're not even talking about season 2 at all. I wonder if they kind of written themselves into this thing, which is why they needed Connor to like disappear and then come back older, because they couldn't have had a kid, like a baby, on the show. It just would never have worked.
Yeah.
Angel like wandering around with a baby.
Yeah, no. That like there's no universe in which that could have worked, which is why it was such a surprising plot line, because I'm like,
yeah.
I don't like, I love Angel, not dad material. He's too busy brooding and like fighting the forces of evil. Like, he can't have a baby on his arm. He's doing stuff. He's got stuff to do.
Yeah, I don't know if they just wrote themselves into like a weird like hole, and they're just like, how do we get ourselves out of this?
Yeah, I definitely think that
it's one of the most gripping bits of TV ever. But that bit where, oh god, the vampire hunter that was chasing Angel in like the 1600s, whatever his name was. Oh fuck, the guy with the long hair.
I haven't watched any of the Angel yet. I need to start rewatching, because
okay, yeah,
we'll start talking about it, of course.
The girl, the redhead with the biker jacket, and she slits Wesley's throat, is like, what the fuck has happened?
Yes!
And just leaves him in the park, and that's like the end of the season as well, I think.
And you're like, what the fuck?
What the shit has just happened? That was just unreal. So I mean, if they did write themselves into a goofy hole, then they did a good job getting themselves out.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So, going back to season 2 of Buffy, because I mean, that's all good stuff and it's all important. But yeah, back to, so I liked Ted. I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah. Like a solid 6 or 7.
Yeah. Definitely rewatchable.
Rewatchable. It's certainly no like the mask episode that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And in fact, the next episode, Bad Eggs. I don't know. I still find it a bit cringe. The episode. The one thing I really liked was the animatronics.
Yeah, I liked the animatronics.
I think one of the problem is it apes like the alien face hugger just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an element of that.
I find
the ending is just primo.
Yeah.
When Buffy jumps down to kill the mother hatchery, and you got the Texan vampires. They're just like, yeah, do you know what? Don't worry, I'm out.
Yeah.
Legs it.
He's like, bye. This is fucking weird. I came to kill the Slayer. What is all this shit? It's so good. They're my favorite part of this episode, and I'm so sad the one gets killed, because they are it's Tector and Lyle Gorch. Yeah. Tector and Lyle, and the way they banter and argue, especially in the tunnel, is like the best part of the episode. I'm like, I just want the rest of the episode to be them doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want an episode of that. That would have been funny.
He's like, I'm gonna throw you out in the sun. And you're like, oh my god. I killed your mother.
For me, it's probably like a 5 or so. It's it's average TV. There's not. I don't think there was anything majorly. It doesn't really develop anything. It's Monster of the Week, and it's done fine, enough to pass. I think
if it didn't have the Gorge brothers, it would be a 3 for me.
It could have been really bad.
Yeah, but they elevate. It's so funny how they're such a minor part of this episode, but they elevate it so much. So yeah, I'd have to agree. 5.
The only other thing I'd say that raises it is Xander's approach to everything, where he boils the egg and all that. It's like, that's exactly what someone like that would do.
Yep.
And that's like one thing. It's nice that like it develops that like his character a bit further. It's like, yep, I'll boil the egg. I'm hungry. I'm gonna tuck in, and then panic. It's really well done.
Yeah.
From the animatronics and. The animatronics and the Texans are probably the highlights.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of Zon. That's about it.
And like, it's so funny because like I remember doing that in high school. We did that, and we didn't have anybody who boiled our eggs because they promised we could smash our eggs on the sidewalk when we were done with the assignment. So we were all really gunning for that. But I had one classmate who he got twin, like, you had to draw, and it would just be randomized how many eggs you had, if it was a boy or a girl, you know. So he drew twin eggs, one boy and one girl, and he named them Mary Jane and Jack Daniels. And when he told the teacher, my teacher gave him this look, right? He goes, why? Does that mean something? And she just looked at him like, you little shitbag, and she just kept walking. But yeah, that's my egg story from high school. But it is very
that was excellent story.
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear your next one. Excuse me whilst I can't think.
Drop some puns.
Surprise and Innocence, that's a double whammy.
Yeah.
This is like arguably the biggest double whammy for the season.
Yeah.
What's quite interesting, there's quite a few like two-parters in the season. Same for season 3 as well.
Because we
They
have...
just knew how to... They knew how to do them.
Yeah. Hang on, let me look at... because it's Surprise the one...
Surprise is where it's Buffy's birthday, and her and Angel finally... they finally...
Boink.
So for her birthday, she gets to unwrap the biggest package. Yeah. So yeah, it's this is kind of a continuation of the Drusilla Spikes saga.
Yeah,
because they are, well, arguably they / Angel are the big bad for season 2, or Angelus.
Yeah, he joins the crew.
So it's basically the setup is this Buffy's birthday. For some reason they end up outside. I can't remember, and it's raining.
He does, because he wakes up and he just has like, he's freaking out. There's something going on. It's kind of like he's disoriented. He's not really sure what's going on. He goes outside and it's raining, and then his soul vanishes. And it's so funny because I was just...
But they end up at his house. Like, I'm sure it's like maybe it's post...
Yes, because I think...
Something like that. I can't remember how they end up at his little underground thing.
I think the deal is they're at the Bronze, and they're like, this package was with a vampire, and Angel's like, oh shit, that's the judge's arm. We gotta get this shit out of here. We can't let him assemble. So his plan is to go on a ship that night to Vamoose. And
With the part, yeah.
I think he doesn't for whatever reason, and then they boink, which I just think about, like, how disappointing is it for Buffy to go from, like, yeah, the sex was so good he lost his soul, to fucking, like, Parker. Like...
Well, actually, that's a good point, because they kind of reference it. This is maybe a bit of a deeper cut. I'll keep going back to Angel. Someone calls him a eunuch. I think it might be Lindsay. I think Lindsay calls him a eunuch.
That sounds about right. Lindsay fucking would.
I love Lindsay. Lindsay and what was the girl's name from Wolfram and Hart? Anyways, the point is, he even says, well, look, you know, it's a moment of happiness. It's not that I can't have sex. It's that, you know, sex with the right person would be that moment of happiness.
Yeah.
You know, of pure happiness, I should say. So it's even referenced again later on that it's not necessarily the sex, it's not the act of sex, it's like the fact that he achieves
with Buffy,
pure happiness.
Which is why it's so disappointing for, like, I don't think people understand the psychology of, like, how disappointing it is for Buffy to be like, yeah, the last guy I was with, my sex was so good with me, like, he lost his soul to, like, fucking Parker, who's, like, dodging her phone calls and shit, and you're like, man, get the fuck out of here. Which just goes to show, like, how important it is to have that with the right person. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. And we're sort of going back into season 4 a little bit. Yeah, but there's a few episodes where they kind of moralize on a few of these things. So, beer bad. It's like, yeah, basically it's almost like an anti-drinking episode.
Yeah.
The episode where Cordelia gets pregnant in Angel, expecting maybe something like that. And like even the last line is like, what do we learn? Oh, that the sex is bad, and that's like kind of like the last line of the episode. He's like, that's kind of weird. They kind of almost moralize, like, don't have like, and again with the Parker thing, it's like, well, don't go jump into bed with the first person you meet. So it's interesting that, you know, in the 90s it wasn't like, hey, just break your legs for any man that comes along, because that's probably where the message would be now.
Right.
It feels quite almost conservative in its messaging. Don't drink beer and don't hump anyone called Parker.
Well, especially like you think like her compared to Faith, because Faith is that person who's like, I'm gonna just get it and get gone. And so
well, she does.
She's
with Xander.
Yeah, and she's not venerated as like a good Slayer. She's known as like the bad Slayer. She betrays them. She does all this shit. And so like you think about like the characteristics she has and the things she does versus like Buffy. And yeah, they really do kind of like, which is so weird considering what Joss is doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
it's quite weird because that's what made me think of it. Like when like the last line Dave Boreanaz says is like, oh yeah, sex is bad. And you're like, feels a bit weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe not now that we know what we know. That's probably why it feels weird. Not the moralizing, more like the, what do they call it, like the Cassandra complex or whatever. When you know something.
Yeah, like what Joss is doing behind the scenes, and you're like, why would you write that in there? Maybe, well, and you think too, because he doesn't write everything, and so you're like, maybe it's one of the writers getting a jab in at him. You know, like, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, just like a because obviously he's like a creator / director / writer, and obviously he's not involved. He definitely doesn't direct every episode, and he's not always going to be in the writers' room. So it could be, you know, someone just is like, yeah, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Say no more.
And he probably, you know, just busy, like, yep, just approve the script, it's fine.
Because one thing I've noticed, it'll be interesting to see, I don't know if you know this, but I've noticed a lot of people don't tend to watch their own work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like, whenever you hear someone talking about their show, it's very much like, let's say it's Sarah Michelle Gellar. She talks about it from, like, the first person point of view of her being in the show, not like how we see it, where we've watched the episode. So quite often they don't watch it. They just go, oh yeah, I remember that recording day because it was so hot and we had to do the take 30 times. So just it's a memory that stuck with me. Not, oh, I remember this whole arching story. They don't necessarily see it as a story.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting, but...
Well, and some of them, like, I know, like, Adam Driver refuses to watch his own work. He hates it. He's like, I just can't stand seeing myself on screen. And then Johnny Depp, same way, apparently. So, and you wonder if it's just... Because for me, like, I hate listening to my own work. Like, I hate playing it back, so I get it. Because I'm like...
I can't do it.
Yeah.
If I do, if I go back... So, like, this is the same for my drumming streams. If I go back and listen to any of my drumming or any of these podcasts, I delete them. If I listen, I go, oh my god, I sound like a total moron. Listen to that thick twat. Alright, delete. And I found, oh look, I'm stumbling over my words again. Oh, what a wanker. Delete. It's just like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an element of that for them. They go, oh, my hair looks so bad, it's out of place. Delete.
Well, and I know Sarah Michelle, like, she's got to think about her bangs, which is so funny. Like, because there's...
Especially at the end of season 3.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
She's just like when she had bangs, and you're like, oh my god.
Worst haircut ever.
Yeah.
And then they even played off, like, David Boreanaz says something like, oh, you look different, or something like that. I was like...
Yeah, it's pretty funny because she's very self-aware of like that was just such a bad haircut, so cracks me up. Yeah. Anyway, so Innocence is kind of like where the episode that like arch of like surprise and innocence, like double whammy, kind of ends. And so like Innocence, we have Angel is now Angelus, Jenny is a gypsy. We find They find that out, and then on top of all of that, the judge comes, and that's how they know Angelus is really Angelus and not Angel trying to trick them, because he's like, there's no humanity in this one. He is clean, and you're like, oh, okay. Which I think the judge is played by Luke from season 1.
It is. He's also in the X-Files. He plays in one of the aliens, basically.
He also plays Adam in season 4.
He's like, ah.
Yeah. So that's Luke from the first season, if you remember him. And then the best part of this episode is Oz helps them go to like the army base because Xander remembers something. Because they're like, the judge cannot be killed by any weapon forged by man. And Buffy's like, that was like a 1,000 years ago, dude. And so she pulls out like a bazooka, and he goes, it's my favorite part because Angelus and Drew just look at each other and they fucking split. They're just like done. And the judge just goes, what is that? She fucking blows into pieces.
Again, this is what we were talking about earlier, where they know how to reference back to earlier episodes. So, and actually even in season 4, there's a mention of Xander's army days. So Xander, let me just emphasize, wasn't in the army. There was a single episode where he wore a costume, and the trickster guy, what's his name now?
Ethan Rayne
shows up, thank you, and he in essence imbues them with the outfit that they're wearing, and just that episode has been like referenced, a handful of times. It's really cleverly done.
Yeah.
And even with like with Willow and Oz, who's that girl, and so on, it's really well done.
Yeah.
But mostly it's Xander that seems to be like the big one that's referenced.
Yeah, which I think is I think it's so much fun, especially like it kind of reminds me of when she goes to fight I want to say Darcy. It's not Darcy, is it?
Darcy.
Who is Angel's original, like, who's his sire? What's that bitch's name? Fuck. Darla, there we go. I knew it started with a D. I was like, it's D-A-R, and I can't remember the rest of the name. Anyway.
Okay, so it goes Darla side, no, so the Master side Darla side Angel side Drusilla side Spike, and then that's kind of where the lineage ends.
Yeah. But anyway, so like it's kind of like that episode where Darla is like, I brought friends and you think vampires are gonna pop out, and she just pulls out 2 fucking guns and she's like, you're a human, so I can just shoot you in the head, and you're like,
I can just shoot you, yeah.
Damn, she's right. Like,
there's a bit as well, I can't remember where it was from, but someone references getting shot. And said, oh, well, that won't kill me. It's like, no, but they will hurt like hell.
Yeah.
Like, yes, of course. If you get shot, whether you're a vampire or not, it's going to hurt. You carry on. I've just got to grab something for the wife.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, my mom, I made her watch some of Buffy, and I was like, what'd you think of that episode? And she was like, the one where Darla pulls out the guns, and she goes, I didn't expect her to pull out guns, and I was like, I know. Yeah. And so, like, that's kind of like this one where it's like, you don't really expect the answer to be a bazooka, but you get that, and it's so much fun. Sense. Yeah, and it makes sense, so...
you gotta consider it, like, written for, like, the 2000s and that, rather than, in the 70s. I don't think you'd have someone pulling up... If it was the 70s, it'd probably be, like, an Uzi or something like that, because that would be more sort of in keeping with, MacGyver and...
yeah.
And that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And so I think both of those episodes, I think they're like 7, 8, Yeah. I think...
really solid. And it just continues that sort of like season 2. I think, weirdly, we were having this discussion at the weekend where quite often, and I can probably best equate this with music, your favourite album doesn't necessarily have your favourite song on it. So let's just say Blink-182. Your favourite album might be, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket or whatever, Enema of the State. But your favourite song is, Adam's song or something like that, which isn't on that. So you go, it's kind of like that with Buffy, where you go like season 2 doesn't necessarily have my favourite episode in, but as a whole, it's taking season 2 as a complete thing. It's mostly 7s and 8s for me.
Yeah.
Which makes for a solid overall season, because I came back for season 2 and 3. I was just like, those two are just nearly perfect. But like when you go through each episode, you go, well, it isn't, because there's an episode Bad Eggs, so it can't be nearly perfect, but it just feels that way because everything else is so
damn solid.
decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Innocence, I think too, probably that one is elevated a little bit to like maybe a point above Surprise, just because of the bazooka and the like. It's so like tongue in cheek, but you're like, it also makes sense, but also like it's just fucking hilarious. And then now we have Angelus here instead of Angel, which is like a really fun, tumultuous thing for the whole gang, but especially Buffy.
Yeah, of course.
So
well, I mean, because what happens as well, he plays her along for quite a while. She's
for
like,
sure.
What's happened? What's changed? And she thinks it's because she's had sex with him and that he's gotten what he wants. So she's looking at it more like a human relationship, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, the man's gotten what he wants, therefore he's now sniffing around other girls. When in fact that's not the truth. He's now Angelus, and it does take her a hot minute to find out.
Yeah.
To work out that he is, and who, you know, he's playing everyone. In fact, he plays Willow for a bit as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I also think it's so funny because she straight up like throats Jenny, and I think it's in Innocence where she just grabs Jenny by the throat and like slams her down and is like, "What do you know?" And you're like, "There's students in this classroom, Buffy. You can't just do that." And Giles just dismisses them. He's like, "I'll handle this. Everybody leave." And you're like,
"Everybody out."
No, that's not how that works. Someone call the police. Like, what? Where's the school resource officer? What the fuck? Like, Jenny just got assaulted.
Oh, lovely Jenny. And this is where, like, the downfall. So I've noticed there's been a few characters where, you know, Jenny, Wesley, Oz to a degree, where you kind of feel like they might have been around longer, but they aren't for whatever reason.
Yep.
Now it's like, was Seth, because I know Seth Green was doing Robot Chicken even back then, and Family Guy, was he just going, actually it's much easier for me to do Robot Chicken and Family Guy than...
Well, and you think about
The Office.
Like that, and then I think about like the amount of effort you have to put in for like, yeah, your physical self, like the amount of effort you have to put in for acting, whereas like voice acting, it's not like it's not effortless, right? But you're not in front of a camera, you know, you're just using your voice. So you can make silly faces and you can do whatever and just plug out.
Chris Griffin isn't in every episode, and when he is, it's not necessarily like the main focus of the show. So you can probably, without being too crass about it, you could probably phone it in a bit.
Yeah.
And then of course, Robot Chicken would probably be his passion project. That's something him and, was it Brendan, whatever his name is, from Road Trip? I think it's those two, right?
Let me see. Robot.
And that's like his passion project, opposed to
Alex Bulkley.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Seth. Oh no, it's Seth Green, Matthew Seinrich, and Mike Fasolo.
Right. Completely wrong. So and that's also like, I imagine that's like so similar to being a musician. You know, someone says to me, "Do you want to, you know, drum for some random pop band, or do you want to go and do your own like metal project?" I'll be like, "Well, I'll do my own thing, mate.
Yeah.
I don't want to drum for some shitty pop band."
Well,
so it's, maybe there's an element of that. He's just like, well, I don't want to be eighth fiddle, because he's not even like top 5 cast.
Yeah.
I mean, he is to me.
Oh yeah. Same.
But
well, and I think too, like, it's easier. Sometimes it's easier to just do a bunch of bits, right? Versus like, this is my continuing overarching character, and this is his storyline. Like, that requires so much more effort and focus. Versus like, I'm just doing a bit that's 2 minutes. You know, like, it's a 2-minute bit. Even Family Guy is just a bunch of bits that are strung together. So
exactly right. I mean, look at someone like Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's never really been able to shake the shadow that is Buffy from her. She did Scooby Doo, and she did.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know what it's not last summer.
She was in Scream 2, which came before this.
But all of it's kind of just. She's never had the same effect that she was as Buffy. I mean, you can definitely argue that for Nicholas Brendan.
For sure.
Probably Giles to a degree. Like, I know he's done some stuff. He was in the In-Betweeners movie. He was Will's dad.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I can't tell you a single thing Anthony Stewart Head is in aside from this. I can tell you that James Marsters was in that god-awful Dragon Ball Z live-action movie. And he was Piccolo.
Really?
He was Piccolo, which is the fucking dumbest thing.
Was he greened up and everything?
He was. And he said, I was watching an interview, and he said, there's like a stunt they did where he was coming down off this cliff, and basically it's like a jump off the cliff. So it seems pretty straightforward. But they had a stunt guy do it first, and then they were going to see if he wanted to do it himself. And the stunt guy did it, and they fucking wrecked this stunt guy. They just slid him across the side of this cliff. And James Marsters,
right.
He was like, this guy was like mangled, and he was like, no, I think I'm good. The stunt guys can handle that.
Right, let's get. I'm gonna have to. Sorry, we're gonna have a quick pause whilst we have a watch of the. Trailer.
He's like, I gotta what the fuck.
What was the end like? 2013 or something like that.
2009.
2009. Thank you.
Yeah, he's pretty unrecognizable, which I think he even was. It was like, yeah, it was kind of a god awful movie, but. Which, yeah, fucking, as far as I know it was, I refused to see it, because I was like, this doesn't even look like Dragon Ball, like, none of it is, like, I don't understand how they got...
I never really watched it, so I was just a little bit too old for it, being that I'm, 10 years older than yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things, like, I knew, but I would have been, like, I don't know, when you would have been 10, I would have been almost 20. So it's like, yeah, I know of it, but
yeah, I think I was 14. I would have been 14 at the time that came out, and that was just so not a thing I cared about. And then I didn't even know Buffy, so like it wouldn't have occurred to me. Maybe that's James Marsters, you know. So
I might have to download it just for like pure banter. Maybe we should do that. It's an episode where we just review terrible movies.
Dude, that would be...
It's got Lucy Liu. Is that Lucy Liu?
I think so. I want to say yes, but... Dragonball Evolution.
Who's now a American white kid.
No, it's Jamie Chung. Yeah, no, yeah. I was like, what? So it's Emmy Rossum and Jamie Chung. And, like, this movie fucking demolished the main character, like, the main actor's career, I'm pretty sure. Because he was in... Yeah, he used to be in stuff. Like, he was in War of the Worlds and, like, stuff like that. Like, he is, oh my god, he's the guy who is the lookalike for, Dave from Halloween 2018. And I forget that actor's name at the moment, but, like, he was, like, in a lot of stuff, this actor... until that movie, and then his career kind of died.
Did you ever watch the horror with David Boreanaz, Valentine?
I have not seen that one. I've always wanted to watch it because I know they're like it's fucking horrible, but I'm like it's David Boreanaz.
Back in like 2003.
Was it fucking horrible?
Something like that. Like back in the I remember it being terrible, but I can't tell you what happened in it. I just remember it being terrible. I think that's we got two films. Maybe we need to switch it up a bit. We almost do like the Red Letter Media guy type sort of thing, where best of the worst movies go right. Go watch Dragon Ball Z. Go watch Valentine with David Boreanaz and tell us what the best of the worst is.
Oh man, that would actually be kind of fun though.
That would be really fun.
Especially like I've always wanted to watch Valentine. I just have never gotten around to it.
Now you've got a good excuse to. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's it. Next episode we're gonna deviate from Buffy and Angel. And we're gonna do the bad movie review.
The 2001 Valentine movie.
Yeah. Jeez. What does it get on IMDb? I bet it's really shite.
Oh, let me check it out. Hang on, wait.
Someone
gave it a 5 stars. Who the fuck? It's 4.9 on IMDb.
Oh my god, that's bad. Denise Richards as well, yummy.
Katherine Heigl, that's
Katherine
so
Heigl.
funny. Is
She's
David
an
Boreanaz the
ex-Mormon.
only guy in this fucking movie? Okay, no. He's just the top billed
Did you
guy.
know she's an ex-Mormon?
Oh, really?
Katherine Heigl.
I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah, there's a few like famous ex-Mormons. Actually, interestingly, Eliza Dushku is also as well. She's an ex-member.
That's great. See, I would not have guessed that
Yeah.
about Eliza Dushku, but I've also not seen a lot of interviews with her, so like
Yeah.
in my head I see her as Faith.
I think with her it's not quite that she's like an ex-member. I think like her dad was a member or something like that, and she used to go to church, but then I don't know if she got baptized or anything like that. And then I think she like just left in her teen age years, and she wasn't like into it.
Yeah.
Whereas Katherine Heigl was actually like a proper member.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's quite a strange one, that.
I can't imagine being part of a church that like dictates how much money you actually make. Like I can't do that. I would never be able to do that. Like I tithe to my church, but like that's only 10%, and it's like it's supposed to come back around to you.
10% with Mormons as well.
Well, I've heard that if you make more, like
It's very much open to like interpretation. So like this is the one thing you know with religion that I've always really struggled where, like you said, when someone dictates something, where it's like, okay, this is this, and I feel like when someone says that, I believe them to be like a charlatan, like a false prophet, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Because like I think it's arguably down to you, and I think what most churches should be doing is trying to make people better people, if that makes any sense. So,
yeah.
By controlling your urges, okay, don't smoke, don't drink, don't swear, don't have sex, all these things. You're trying to make yourself to be a better human. You're trying to control your urges, and sort of keeping yourself on the lack of a better term path of righteousness. So I think that's like the important thing. But when someone comes through and says like, no, you can't even have
Buy life
a
cat.
Coke. So like, and some people like in the Mormon church are like so extreme. I mean, I've known plenty who are like, on a Sunday, they wouldn't let you watch anything other than Disney, as an example. I swear.
That's crazy.
And some were like no TV whatsoever, and like would be yeah, you got to sit there reading the scriptures. It's like, and this is the problem. Like, so you'd have one family that's like super hype. We call them Peter Priesthoods or Molly Mormons, and they're like really into like, no, Sunday, that's God's day. You don't do anything else other than go to church, and then that's kind of it, really. And then there's kind of like, I'm obviously the other end, where it's like on a Sunday I'd be like, yo, I'm off to some friends because I'm going biking because it's Sunday. So
yeah.
I'm going biking. So but I'm a bit like you. I won't be told what to do or what not to do.
Yeah. And like I also think there's a lot of Christians like that in general, like because for those who don't know, Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, Christians, they're all different, and Christians have even more sects. So I presume Latter-day Saints kind of do too, where it's like, this type of Latter-day Saint church is stricter, whereas this one is like, it's fine, So like the church.
Well, LDS. So like LDS is like the what people call Mormons. And then you get FLDS, the fundamental LDS. Okay. Those are like the polygamists, basically. So the ones that you have like that are hiding out in the Utah mountains or like the Arizona borders, like around there, like
Mexico.
Usually like New Mexico or Mexico, like around those border zones. They kind of like all around there. And there's like another flavor of FLDS. There's like another fundamentalist one, but I believe they are like mostly wanted by the FBI in that because they are arguably cults.
Yeah.
Cultists.
Oh yeah, there's like a whole like group of them, and I watched like Crazy Cult or something like that. I forget what it was called. Deadly Cult on, Investigation Discovery, where like a group of them went down to Mexico because the stuff they were doing is outlawed in America, and they were like, yeah, you're a cult, so they were like, well, we'll just go to Mexico. So like there was a big chunk of Latter-day Saints down in Mexico who ended up having like a shootout against each other because it was these two families that were polygamous and rivalry and stupid shit. But
it's kind of wild, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that even happens like in regular churches. I don't think it's like unique to like FLDS or LDS or anything like that.
No, like it's anywhere there's people are gonna people. So like a lot of people will condemn like churches and things like that. And I'm like, it's full of people. What do you expect? Like, it's not like God himself shows up and takes over your body. Like, you still have the option to make choices, and sometimes you choose shitty because you're a person, and that's what people do.
That's it. People are allowed to make their own choices, and that's actually one of the important teachings of like the church is that, we came here to have the choice of freedom of choice. That's why we're here. We have the freedom of choice.
Yeah.
And to be dictated to by especially someone, what really irritates me is like a lot of these people that are sort of hyper evangelists, shall we say. I know that they've got things in their closet as well, shall we say. And so when they're sort of like evangelizing, saying, no, you're not allowed to have a Coke on a Sunday, people have said that to me. Can't drink a Coke on a Sunday. Well, why can I drink it on a Sunday? I can't drink it on a Sunday, but I can on a Monday. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they usually have skeletons in their closet. It's similar to like when whenever you see on the news that someone's like some hyper lefties going, don't everyone think of the children, don't do anything with the children. It always turns out that they're the ones doing the things with the children every time. And it's like those who scream the loudest are like the most guilty. So it's kind of like I've become very weary of anyone who screams very loudly about something. So, well,
yeah, I typically
I don't trust you anymore.
Yeah, like if you want to get down to the nitty gritty with me, I'm like the one thing that is like my hill to die on is like don't touch kids. Like if you're a sexual predator, die. But like I'm not someone who's gonna shout that from the mountaintops because it's not like it's something that's like a lot of people will say something like talk about things that they have on their mind, and a lot of people are hypocritical naturally. So yeah, like especially like look what I'm saying, and then like they're doing something completely different because what they're saying is trying to detract from what they're doing. They're trying to distract you. So like yeah.
I think that's why maybe we've become sort of internet friends because, Rumble, yes, is a very, I don't want to say right-leaning because I don't think that's the right term for Rumble, but it's like the free speech platform.
Yeah.
Plus, it's less shitty than YouTube is. YouTube's just full of just trash and trash people. But obviously, I'm more conservative than I am liberal, but I'm certainly nowhere near as conservative as some people on Rumble, and I'm sort of sat there watching something and going, well, you're evangelizing just like those sort of churches do, where they sort of go, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, or whatever, and you're like, well, the whole point is like your freedom of choice, and I think that's why I've got a bit of a boner for America because for me, like, the idea of just being totally free is so amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's
especially where I live. So I think it's maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think too, like a lot of people in America have lost like what it means to be free, and they will give up their freedoms for certain things that I'm like, no. Don't do it. That's part of our freedom.
In the UK, and it's. I can't even. I literally have to censor myself whilst I'm on here, because if I said, I wouldn't be surprised if I got into trouble for saying "puff." Like it's that bad. No, seriously, it's that
terrible.
Like, the UK is wild at the moment. It's so bad.
That's horrible. Yeah, and in America, it's like, so and like I think too, like in America, people try to cancel other people. And you're always going to have someone that's going to try to cancel you for something you say. You're always going to have someone who's going to hate on you for taking a stance.
I was quoting Spike from an episode that you can freely watch on Netflix or wherever Buffy's been shown. I'm directly quoting him. Don't get me into trouble. Right, so let's try and wrap this up. So I need to disappear in like 12 minutes. I just realized
shit.
Rambling about religion now.
Yeah.
Phasers. Well, we're not going to get through, are we? Phasers is I like it because it's a Seth heavy episode.
Yeah.
It's really where we. So there's a hunter trying to get a hunter werewolf, basically.
Yeah, Cain. And I think it's interesting
Cain.
that his name is Cain, because that's in the Bible. That's Cain kills his brother Abel, you know. So he's like, I don't give a fuck, like, because she's like, they're normal people, like 27 days out of the month, and he's like, I don't give a fuck, like, if they're a werewolf, their pelt is worth a lot of money, so I'm gonna hunt their ass. And you're like, wow.
And he's got teeth on his little necklace and all that.
Yeah, you're like, that's pretty fucked up, guy. But
it's a decent episode.
Yeah,
it's mostly strong for death, but it's not a particularly strong episode.
This is also the episode where we find out Larry the bully is in the closet, and Xander accidentally pokes that mare, and then he's like,
which is brought up again and again and again.
And, like, it's so funny because Xander gives Larry the impression somehow that he's also in the closet, which is why Larry comes out to him. And you're just like, oh, this is so funny. Which is why it makes no sense for Willow to have been the gay one. Xander should have came out as gay because they already had this kind of setup.
Set it up, yeah.
And then Oz is so funny because he's like, you have Larry who, they're like, he's the werewolf because he just got bit by a big dog, blah, blah, blah. And Oz is like, I got bit by my cousin, like, on his pinky finger, Jordy. He's like 4 or whatever.
Thumbs up. Hey, auntie, whatever her name is.
And he's like,
oh yeah, he's a werewolf.
Oh,
right, okay.
It's so good. It's so funny.
Casual conversation.
Oh, and how long has that been going on? Oh, okay. And you're like, it's so funny. Like, it's such a good setup. And, like, again, just good writing. Because, like, yeah, that could totally happen. Like, so.
Especially with his character, he would be so sort of nonchalant and, well, funny, the episode called Phases, because he's so unfazed by
everything.
The news that he's everything. Yeah, it's a good episode. It's certainly, it's kind of monster of the week, but more, closer to home, obviously.
Well, and you get a little bit of character development, because it, like, Oz being a werewolf is actually helpful in certain situations. Like, later on this season, you know, Willow gets kidnapped, and he's like, I can smell Willow, she's scared. And he, like, stops his van and, like,
he literally
follows the scent. Yeah.
He also fights, oh god, which monster does he fight now? I think he fights a couple as a werewolf, get let out the cage.
Yeah, it's the one in the Zeppo. It's like it's the group of undead punk asses from school that like
I'm strangely full. Oh yeah.
yeah, that's so good. So good.
Couldn't you have another bite? I'm strangely full. Yeah, good. It's like a good episode, but it's not going to set the world on fire. Like a solid 6 probably for me.
Yeah. I think the best parts about it is, you know, it kind of furthers Willow and Oz's relationship. Oz becomes a werewolf, which is helpful, and then Xander accidentally makes himself seem like he's in the closet to Larry, who's also in the closet.
The only I'm sure I mentioned this before. I was slightly miffed about Buffy just straight up bending a gun in half. Just again, I'm going to mention it every bloody time, but they never so set her power levels right. And it's like, well, can she just bend like solid? Well, I say solid, like a gun in half. Well, that's a lot of torque, right?
Yeah.
Or am I being picky?
No, I think
it just feels odd.
Yeah, because, like, you have the episode last season where she punches the robot and is like, ow. And then here she is just bending. So you're like, is it something she has to focus on and, like, hone in and channel her inner Slayer? Can she turn it on and off? Or is it, like...
She plays some chakras, has a little... thing
which
focuses her energy.
I guess we do have, like, because in season 3 we have Helpless, which is, like, Buffy's Slayer powers have been sapped on purpose by Giles. And so, like, yeah, I was like, wow, the betrayal is so deep on that one.
When that scene where she's, like, so upset at Giles is chef's kiss, beautiful.
And I think it's really
Very,
telling
very
of their relationship that Giles is like, I'm gonna choose the Slayer over the Council because fuck you guys. You don't know her, you know, I'm in charge of her, and you've, like, we're, you know. And then this is what leads to, you know, Wesley coming in, and then Buffy eventually is like, the Council can go kick rocks, and so, yeah. But, like, I think, too, like, it's so weird, because I'm like, how is this mystical ability filtered out by some drugs? Like, it's my, like, I need to have, like, I am with you on that. Like, I need a more solid base for, like, where are these powers coming from?
I suppose the way I looked at it with the Helpless episode was where maybe it's like Special K, like ketamine or something like that, so horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
Where, you know, that would numb anyone, so maybe you could argue that it's like some sort of like horse tranquilizer that doesn't put her to sleep but only affects her powers.
But it's still like, it's still to me like, are her powers physical or are they like mystical? Because
they have to be, don't they?
If that's the case, then like you need like crystals or like a ceremony or some shit to do it.
Sure.
And why not just tell her, hey, we're doing this for you, so you have to pass this test? Why would us?
Well, you know, would you? Yeah. I think it's more about the surprise, because then you could prepare yourself. Whereas if it's like sprung upon you, then you always have to be prepared. You like always have to be ready. So maybe it's about like, it's more than just about the test. It's about like the attitude, the mental preparedness.
The fucking PTSD, like constant hypervigilance that you're supposed to live in. That's the thing, is they're like basically this test is to make sure she's living in hypervigilance, which is like, it's I used to live there.
It's a purity test, really, isn't it? Really?
Like, I used to live with hypervigilance, and it's exhausting. So like, you never want to live there. Like, it sucks. But like, I just think it's so like ridiculous that like these fucking asshole. Like, again, it's the system. The system is shit, which I think is funny. That's like
goes against in the end. He's like, actually, do you know what, this is really daft, and then tells him to F off in his Giles way. Yeah, it's a very good episode.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Speaking of very good episodes, I think this is the last one we'll talk about, because I'm gonna have to disappear shortly.
Sounds perfect.
Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. I adored this episode.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought this was so much fun.
It is such a fun episode.
So Cordelia and Xander break up because of Harmony, I think.
Yeah.
Harmony and her crew are mocking her for dating such a loser. Because in Sunnydale world, Xander's a loser, even though he's actually quite a handsome chap IRL.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they don't look odd next to each other. It's not like, you know, you've got like a what was it? Was it from Have You Met Ted? That show.
Oh.
The show with Alison Hannigan. Oh,
How I Met Your Mother? Yeah.
Where the theory of the Reacher and the Settler. So the theory is in every relationship, there's the Reacher and there's the Settler, and you should never feel like you're the Settler. You should always feel like you're the Reacher.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship, you're like, actually, I'm the Settler, then you're in a bad relationship. You should always feel like a Reacher. Well, I mean, normally you can look at a couple and you go, that's the Reacher, that's the Settler. I don't think either of them look like a Reacher Settler. If anything, it's Xander's reaching.
Yeah, which I think has more to do. It has more to do with like his personality in the show, and like where like it's one of those like social construct things where like he's not a bad looking guy. He's not out of shape. Like he's fine. You know.
Well, it's even played up later on.
Yeah, and
Go Fish is played up there. He comes out topless and he's not in bad shape, is he?
No, yeah. So like it really is just like it's a social construct, 100%. And Cordelia kind of lets that get to her, of course. But then at the end, she turns around and she's like, "Hey, fuck you. I'm gonna be with whoever I want. Yeah, and I'm still the best." So
It was nice because Amy the Witch comes back because he pressures her to cast a love spell, and it goes horribly wrong, and everybody falls in love with him, include every female
Except Cordelia.
except for Cordelia. I mean, even Buffy's like. In fact, I think he's such a gentleman about it because he says something like, "Oh, if you knew what this would mean to me," or something like that. He's such a
Yeah.
gentleman about it, and he like tones it down. And even Joyce and Jenny. So like, even it doesn't matter what the age.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, there's a little touch that I liked. I don't know if you spotted the dining lady, the one who's like doing the rat poison eventually. I think you see her doing rat poison.
Yeah.
To kill the kid. She's there with like a hairnet and a rolling pin, and a little pinny chasing him down the street.
It's so
It's
ridiculous.
It's so daft, but it's so fun.
It is. And it's so like a lot of people are like a lot of people hate Xander online, and a lot of people are like, this is why, like, this is one of the episodes they cite of like, he's just selfish and he's like so self-absorbed and he doesn't give a fuck about what other women want and
Right.
da. And you're like, well, no, I mean, he tries to get back at Cordelia, which, yeah, that's a shitbag move, but for a 17-year-old, that's pretty normal.
That's what you would do, yeah.
And so, like, he doesn't mean to get all these other people roped in. That's just an accident because, like, he's fucking it up with his own desires, basically. So,
Well, I wonder how much people are taking modern day politics and their feelings of Nicholas Brendan,
yeah,
and placing them on Xander the character. And we've discussed this in the past, and I think it almost merits its own episode, like separating the art from the artist, because Xander as a character is like a great character. He's part of the Scooby Gang. He's genuinely amongst my favourites. But Nicholas Brendan as a person, like when you start to learn about him, because I'd really not really thought about Nicholas Brendan as a person in years until I started this podcast with you.
Yeah.
And gone, oh, he's actually a bit of a piece of shit, really.
Yeah.
Similar for Joss Whedon. You go, well, I don't really think of him other than, oh well, Joss Whedon. He does a lot of the shows I like: Serenity, Buffy, Angel. Movies that I like, whatever it is, and you go, oh, actually, it turns out he's a bit of a piece of shit as well. Like, you do need to separate the art from the artist, and I just wonder if those people are going, well, I can make him. They're sort of making him to be worse than he is just because of their feelings of Nick.
I definitely think that's the case. Because, like, yeah, there's some real shit heel moments, but kind of everyone has that because they're all human characters, So, like, he could.
I mean, Giles fucks up. Like, he hides all his past.
Yep. Yeah.
That affects Jenny badly.
Which
really badly.
They're also like, the other thing is like they're portraying high schoolers. So when you're in high school and this is happening to you, your reaction isn't to be mature typically. Most people's reaction is, fuck, I know this girl who's a witch, I'm gonna get her to do a love spell so that bitch comes crawling back to me. Like, that's your reaction. Like, that is a genuine, like, is it good? No. Does that make him a horrible person? No. Was his actions horrible? Yes. Yeah.
If you're the geek dating the prom queen, of course that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because that's a social, like you said, a social status thing as well.
And it's not like he means for all this mayhem to happen. It's just, Amy warns him, like, you're supposed to have pure intentions when you do a love spell, or else this is gonna get fucked up somehow. And he's like, do it anyway. And she's like, okay. Because she's like, whatever, and does it, and things get fucked up.
And she gets caught under the spell as well. It's a lot of fun, the episode. I think actually one of the highlights is Willow.
Yeah.
And again, this sort of goes back to what we've said earlier, where the whole Willow sort of being lesbian thing doesn't make a great deal of sense. It makes a little bit more, like, rewatching it. It feels somewhat natural, I guess. But this is another argument against it, where she's like, was in love with Xander.
Yeah.
And she's the one is so hurt by the fact that every girl loves him, and like basically she's like, oh, what's her line? If you can't be with me, you can't be with anyone. and it's just swinging this great big rubber axe at him. It's great fun. It's great fun. It's such a fun episode.
And I do love Oz punches him in the face, and he's like, "I don't know what you did."
I don't know what you did, but you did it.
and he was like, "Willow called me, and she was really upset about you, and I just felt the need to punch you." And you're like, "What a guy! He's the man right there." Like,
he's the best. He's so good.
But like Xander is just, I mean, he's just a normal guy to me. Like, I've yet to see anything where I'm like, this fucking shit heel. Like, I'm just like, no, he's pretty normal. Like,
and actually, like even through season 4, he still stands by his friends. Like Beer Bad, he works in that pub for a bit. He's trying to. He's living in his mom's basement. He's still there with his friends, even though he's not at university with them.
Yeah.
And
even Fear Itself, and like he like, I think that's probably one of the like episode 1 of season 4. He comes back and he's like, Buffy, like, you're my hero.
Make it up the state.
Yeah, he's like, you're my hero. Like, he sits there and he just gasses her up. Like, he's like, you're my hero. That's when I was stranded. That's what I thought is like, what would Buffy do? And I did what I had to do, and now I'm back, and like, fuck these bitches, like, you can get them, you're the Slayer, like, and he just kind of revives her confidence, and I
don't see the hate, not at the moment. Maybe that'll change later on, but certainly not at the moment. The only other thing I want to point out was what's her name that he starts boinking in season 4?
Anya,
thank you. I remember really disliking Anya, and actually, she's quite fun.
Yeah.
And I've kind of grown to quite like her. I think
weirdly,
too. Anya carries it a little bit for me. So like when she does show up, and again because she's like an ex-demon, there's a lot of things that they like refer to her to, and so I think she plays it quite well.
Oh, yeah. I think because she's an ex-demon, too, she's so unpredictable. Like, he's like, get a scary costume, and she shows up dressed as a rabbit.
And a bunny.
And, like, later on, she has a musical number she does about how scary bunnies are to her. Yeah, and you're like, what? So, like, it's just, like, she's such a, like, it's a really fun way to build the character, because she is an ex-demon, so like, even though she can be scary, there's also this very human side of her, because she was human then demon, and now she's human again, and so she's like relearning these things, and like she also just has all these weird preconceived notions that you're like, oh my gosh, girl, like, that's not how that works. Like, her just showing up to Xander's and like dropping her clothes, and you're like, and he's like, this is not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I really wanted to point that out, because I'm sure I said earlier on, like maybe episode 1 or 2, when we were like sort of flexing our Buffy knowledge, I remember saying like I didn't care for Anya, and actually I kind of she's fast becoming a favorite for me, weirdly.
Yeah, I think too, like,
unlike Tara, and Riley still remains seriously irksome. Every time he's on screen, he's just a wet piece of paper. It's tedious to watch Riley. I don't even think it's the actor's fault.
It's the character.
I don't know. He's so wet.
He gets so much hate, and I think it's because, like, I don't think it's the actor. I think it's just the character. Like, the character is a specific way. He does certain things. And so, like, a lot of people hate Dawn, but I'm like, Michelle Trachtenberg is doing what she needs to do. She's an annoying younger sister. Yeah. That's her role. Yeah, and she's filling it. You're annoyed by her? Good. She's doing her job. You don't, like, with Riley, he's a commando. He's very straight-laced. He's like, this is the way things are. And so, like, he
the worst army ever.
No, honestly, yeah, literally
unbelievable. And when they do like the army, like when they cut to like the underground bits and then fake marching and all that, you're like, Jesus, like, where the hell did you find these people? They're not marching in time. They all look like they've just dragged themselves out of bed. It's wild. Like they clearly did not have like a SEALs expert. Like when you go watch the SEALs thing with They've Boreanaz. They clearly spoke to the experts, how they talk, how they dress, how they move, and it's like they clearly spoke to experts.
Yeah.
Buffy, that is like what idiots think.
Yep.
Like army people are like. It's wild. It's so bad.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to point out about it that actually really irritated me was the one of his army buddies basically goes so Riley's talking about something, he's like, oh, that really irritates me, and his buddy's like, oh, you like things that irritate you, don't you, or something like that, and like somehow he's like, oh, I think I like Buffy, and he's like, well, duh, everyone knows this. It's like it doesn't make sense how he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I like Buffy all of a sudden, and then he goes from like being her student assistant, whatever he is,
TA, yeah,
it's like TA, to all of a sudden being like head over heels for her for like because of one line that some random guy was like, oh yeah, you like things that irritate you, or some really weird line like that. I was like, what the fuck? This is such a daft way to have him all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, actually I'm really in love with this girl.
Well,
really?
I think
like you've shown nothing up to now, and all of a sudden now it's like he's swooning over her and has to like take her on dates and that. It really bothered me how they did that.
Well, I think in Fear itself, right, like there's a line where she goes in and she's like, hey, I couldn't come to class, and Maggie's like, fuck off. And Riley kind of steps in and he says something like, your work's kind of been dropping off lately. And so it kind of implies, which it's a really quick, you think it's a throwaway line, but later on maybe it's more important. Yeah, because he's just like, he's noticed that, hey, your work is dropping off. So clearly he's noticing her at this point already, but it's really subtle. And I think in a situation like this, subtlety doesn't really work. Because, like, in real life, like, yeah, that's kind of how people start liking each other. Is you just notice little things, and then suddenly...
You notice the blonde chick in the third row, and you're like, oh, she's a good-looking lady.
Yeah, you're like...
And
yeah, it's like, me, it's always like, oh, he has a really cute laugh, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm fucked. Like, I already know that I like this guy.
Yeah.
But then I remember all the other interactions I had with him after that, and I'm like, no, this is how it stacked up, and you're like, fuck. But, I think that's kind of, and like I said, it's kind of a throwaway line, and so, like, it's really hard to, like, grab onto that if you're not paying too much attention in Fear itself. It's really easy to miss. Like, it's really easy to miss.
And the fact that he's such a wet blanket as well, to have someone be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're in love with her. He just feels like a non-character.
Yeah. Until he's a character, and then you're like, what?
Oh my god, so bad. Well, excuse me, so bad. And well, I mean, we still got Adam to arrive as well. That's beyond irritating.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's a big sigh. I'm the one who hates season 4. I don't hate season 4. It's a lot better than I remember. It's a lot better than I remember. I remember hating Gloria, so I'm now curious to see, is Gloria the God actually going to be okay?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of like edits of her versus Cordelia's kind of like characters and the way they talk and stuff, and it's a lot of the similarities, except
interesting.
Cordy is Cordy and is a good person. Yeah. And Gloria is obviously evil. So I'm interested too, because I don't remember having like strict feelings on Gloria one way or another. She just kind of passed through in my mind. So.
But she's the big bad for next season, season 5, right?
Yeah, which is kind because like the big bad I didn't have feelings.
Adam, Gloria. Honestly, kind of starts to get a bit blurry after that.
Yeah.
Right, we'll pick up. I think try and finish off season 3. I think it'll be really good fun for us to maybe go watch Valentine or Dragonball Z, just for the pure banter on it. Separate episode.
That would be fun. I'm down to do it.
The worst. Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious.
As much as I think watching Dragon Ball will make me, like, cringe, because it just seems like that type of a movie.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be hiding behind a pillow or distracting myself with, doom scrolling probably. But yeah, thank you so much. It's always so much fun doing this.
Same here, Logic.
I'm glad we managed to make it here. I apologise. So 3 weeks ago, I cancelled on Mooney, and then I know you had some stuff going yourself, so we ended up cancelling on each other for like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
We're humans. We got shit going on.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a month for me. So it's just one thing after another this month.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, because we had the baby goats born premature. They both had pneumonia. The one had another infection. Charles also gave them creamer, which made them very, very sick.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Then my mom had kidney stones. Had a scan done. They thought maybe she had pancreas cancer. So she had to have another scan done. She looks fine. Then
good. I'm glad to hear that.
My dog, we thought maybe we were gonna have to put her down. The vet ended up working something out with us, so we didn't have to put her down basically, because it was like a surgery that we just couldn't afford. Like, no way in hell. Especially like we had already had it done last year, and then I got sick Saturday. Better now, thank God, for the most part. And then my uncle Sunday died and was revived. So my family had to my parents had to go rush down to Alabama to see how, what's going on with him, and they still don't have answers. So it's just been a crazy fucking month. Like, one thing after another. My English teacher, who was my English teacher from 6th grade to senior year of high school, her husband died, so I'm planning on going down there next week. So next week? Is it next week? Holy shit. Yeah. So next Friday. So next week I'll be able to do the show. The week after I won't. Or the podcast, I mean.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm free next week. I don't know about the week after. Not that it matters. Maybe we do like a... When's my birthday? Where are we at now?
We're on May 7th.
So, my birthday is 21st. Well, what day is that? I think that's a Wednesday as well, isn't it?
It is. That is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that'll be the week I'm gone.
That's a week you're away. Okay, so I'll do a game stream or something. I'll do some drunk drumming stream.
Hell yeah! Celebrate that birthday.
That's it. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you so much. I am gonna run. I've got to do daddy duties.
Yay! Thank you, Logic. Appreciate you. You too.
Toodles. Night night.